In today's video, we're revealing some of the most valuable and incredibly rare wheat penny coins ever discovered. The key dates, mint marks, and valuable error varieties that collectors are desperately searching for. Stay until the end, because the last coin on our list has shocked the entire coin collecting world with its unbelievable value. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out what looks like an ordinary old penny, and unknowingly spending a coin that serious collectors would fight to own. It sounds unbelievable, but stories like this have happened before. Every single year, valuable coins disappear back into circulation because someone mistakes them for common change. Now here's the question that could completely change the way you look at every penny you own. What if one of those forgotten coins is actually a 1940s Lincoln Wheat Penny with a rare minting error that collectors desperately search for? While millions of people see nothing more than 1 cent, experienced numismatists see hidden history, hidden rarity, and sometimes astonishing value. The difference between a spender and a collector isn't luck. It's knowledge. And today, you're about to discover why one small copper coin has become one of the most fascinating treasures in American coin collecting. The 1940s Lincoln Wheat Penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint during a period when America was preparing for dramatic changes. Although the United States had not yet entered World War II, industries were expanding, production standards were under pressure, and every coin leaving the mint represented a nation on the edge of history. More than 112 million 1940s wheat pennies were produced, making the date itself appear common at first glance. But experienced collectors know that mintage numbers never tell the complete story. The coins that command extraordinary prices aren't simply old. They're the survivors with exceptional condition, extraordinary minting errors, or unique characteristics that separate them from millions of ordinary examples. Before we continue, here's something I want you to do right now. If you have an old coin jar sitting somewhere in your home, don't wait until the end of this video. Take a mental note to check it as soon as we're finished. Thousands of collectors have discovered valuable wheat pennies hiding inside forgotten jars, inherited collections, old piggy banks, and even loose change that had been sitting untouched for decades. Your next valuable discovery could literally be waiting a few steps away. Now let's examine what makes certain 1940s wheat pennies incredibly desirable. The first detail is the small S mint mark located beneath the date. This tiny letter identifies the coin as having been struck at the San Francisco Mint, a facility known for producing some of the finest coins in American history. However, not every San Francisco penny is valuable. The true excitement begins when unusual minting errors appear alongside that famous mint mark point. One of the most sought-after varieties involves dramatic repunched mint marks. During this era, mint marks were punched into each working die by hand before the die struck coins. If the mint employee accidentally punched the S more than once, slight doubling or shifting could occur. Under magnification, collectors may notice an additional impression surrounding the primary mint mark. These repunched mint marks are highly collectible because they represent a genuine mistake made during the die preparation process. Every authentic example tells the story of human error preserved forever in solid copper. Another remarkable feature collectors search for is strong die doubling. On legitimate double die varieties, parts of the lettering, numbers, or design appear noticeably doubled due to a misalignment during die creation rather than damage after the coin entered circulation. Look closely at the word Liberty, the date, In God We Trust, and Lincoln's portrait. True doubling displays crisp separation with distinct secondary images. Machine doubling, on the other hand, usually appears flat and shelf-like, carrying far less collector interest. Understanding this difference has saved experienced collectors from making expensive mistakes and helped others recognize genuine treasures. Here's another attention reset. Think about how many pennies you've handled throughout your lifetime. Hundreds? Thousands? Maybe tens of thousands? Now imagine that one of those coins quietly carried a rare double die or repunched mint mark, and it slipped through your fingers because nobody knew what to look for. That possibility alone is enough to make anyone slow down before spending another old wheat penny. Collectors also pay close attention to die cracks, retained cuds, and die chips. As minting dies wore out, tiny fractures developed across their surfaces. These cracks transferred onto coins as raised lines that often stretch across Lincoln's portrait or the reverse wheat ears. While small die cracks are relatively common, Large dramatic examples that significantly alter the design can attract impressive premiums. Some advanced collectors specifically build entire collections centered around these fascinating die state varieties because they capture the final life cycle of a working die before retirement. Off-center strikes represent another spectacular error category. When a blank planchet enters the striking chamber improperly aligned, part of the design fails to transfer, leaving a dramatic blank crescent around the edge. The more off-center the strike while still showing the full date and mint mark, the greater the potential collector demand. These errors immediately stand out because they look completely different from normal circulation coins, making them favorites among error specialists. Then there are broad strikes, clipped planchets, lamination errors, and struck-through errors. A broad strike occurs when the retaining collar fails to contain the metal during striking, producing a wider coin with no raised rim. Clipped planchets happen when the blank itself is improperly cut before striking, leaving a curved section missing from the finished coin. Lamination errors appear when impurities inside the metal cause layers to peel away, while struck-through errors occur when grease or foreign material blocks part of the die, leaving missing design elements. Each of these mistakes transforms an ordinary penny into a unique piece of mint history. But perhaps the greatest factor behind extraordinary prices isn't simply the presence of an error. It's condition. Professional grading services evaluate every tiny detail using the Sheldon grading scale from 1 to 70. Coins graded mint state 65, 66, 67, or higher become exponentially rarer because almost every wheat penny entered circulation shortly after being struck. Finding a flawless red example with full original mint luster after more than 80 years is exceptionally difficult. Every contact mark, fingerprint, scratch, or cleaning attempt dramatically reduces potential value. Here's where things become especially interesting. Many collectors have heard stories claiming that a rare 1940s wheat penny could be worth as much as $923,000. It's important to understand what drives headlines like these. Values approaching that level would generally require an extraordinary combination of factors, such as an exceptionally rare mint error, elite certified condition, remarkable eye appeal, and competitive bidding among wealthy collectors at a major auction. While that figure represents an extraordinary upper-end scenario rather than the value of a typical 1940s penny, elite error coins with exceptional provenance have repeatedly demonstrated that the rarest pieces can command astonishing prices when the right buyers compete. Auction records continue to remind collectors that rarity always wins. Two coins with the same date may differ in value by hundreds, thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars simply because one possesses a rare die variety, superior preservation, or a unique minting mistake. That's why knowledgeable collectors never judge a wheat penny by its date alone. Every detail matters. Every surface tells a story. Every tiny characteristic has the potential to transform an ordinary-looking coin into an extraordinary collectible. Let me ask you one more question. When was the last time you actually examined the pennies sitting in your dresser drawer? Not glanced at them, actually inspected them under good lighting with a magnifying glass. Most people never do. They assume every penny is worth exactly 1 cent. That assumption has caused countless valuable coins to disappear back into circulation where they may never be identified again. Another fascinating aspect of the 1940s wheat penny is its rich original color. Freshly struck copper coins display a brilliant red appearance that gradually changes to reddish-brown and eventually deep brown as oxidation occurs over decades. Collectors place significant premiums on coins retaining original mint red surfaces because natural color preservation becomes increasingly rare with age. Unfortunately, some individuals attempt to clean or artificially brighten old pennies, believing they are increasing value. In reality, cleaning almost always destroys collector demand and permanently reduces market value. Original, untouched surfaces remain one of the most important qualities experienced buyers seek. The current market for classic Lincoln Wheat Pennies remains remarkably active. New collectors enter the hobby every year, while experienced investors continue pursuing registry-quality examples and dramatic mint errors. Online auctions, national coin shows, estate collections, and certified dealer inventories create constant competition for exceptional coins. As demand continues growing while the supply of premium examples remains fixed, truly elite pieces become increasingly difficult to obtain. If you believe you've discovered a promising 1940s wheat penny, Resist the temptation to polish it or test it in any way. Hold the coin only by its edges, place it inside a protective holder, and consider having it examined by a reputable professional coin dealer or submitted to a respected third-party grading service. Proper authentication can make an enormous difference when establishing authenticity, condition, and market confidence. The greatest treasure hidden inside coin collecting isn't simply the possibility of financial gain. It's the realization that history can still be found in everyday places. A single forgotten penny can connect you to another generation, another era, and sometimes another life-changing opportunity. Every coin carries a story. Every error represents a moment that should never have happened. And every discovery begins with someone willing to take a closer look than everyone else does. So before you spend another old wheat penny, remember this. The next extraordinary coin won't announce itself. It won't sparkle brighter than the others. It will quietly wait until someone with knowledge recognizes what everyone else overlooked. That person could be you. If this video changed the way you see your pocket change, make sure you're subscribed, because in our next episode we'll uncover another astonishing American coin that many collectors believe could be hiding in plain sight. And its rarest examples have shocked the numismatic world with breathtaking auction prices. You won't want to miss the next hidden treasure. What if I told you that a simple 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny sitting in an old coffee can, forgotten piggy bank, or dusty coin jar could be worth far more than a brand new luxury home? Most people would spend it without a second thought. A collector, however, sees something completely different. They see history, rarity, and sometimes an opportunity worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's the difference between spending and collecting. Every single day, valuable coins disappear back into circulation because someone mistakes them for ordinary pocket change. The frightening part is that one of those coins could already belong to you. Before you dismiss another old penny as just 1 cent, stay with me until the end, because the final details could completely change the way you look at every wheat penny you own. The 1952 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny may appear ordinary at first glance. It features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the iconic wheat ears on the reverse that Americans recognized for nearly half a century. Millions were struck for everyday commerce, making it seem impossible that one could become extraordinarily valuable. Yet, the world of numismatics has taught us one lesson over and over again. It's not always the coin itself that creates incredible value. It's the tiny differences, the rare mistakes, and the exceptional condition that transform an everyday coin into a legendary collectible. The phrase no mint mark simply means the coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. During that era, Philadelphia pennies normally carried no mint mark at all. That alone does not make the coin rare. But here's where things become fascinating. Hidden among the millions of normal examples are a handful of extraordinary pieces displaying unusual minting characteristics that serious collectors eagerly pursue. These rare varieties have become almost ghost-like in today's marketplace because so few remain undiscovered. Now here's something I want you to do. If you have a jar of old coins somewhere in your house, stop mentally scrolling for just a moment and think about it. How long has it been since you actually searched through those pennies? 5 years? 10 years? Maybe they've been sitting untouched since a relative handed them down. Thousands of valuable coins have been discovered exactly that way, hiding in plain sight while everyone assumed they were worthless. One of the most desirable characteristics on a 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny is a strong double die. This occurs when the working die receives multiple impressions that are slightly misaligned during production. The result is noticeable doubling on important design elements, especially the date, the word liberty, and the famous motto "In God We Trust." Under magnification, the letters may appear split or slightly offset instead of clean and sharp. Genuine double dies are among the most respected error varieties because they originate during the die-making process rather than from post-mint damage. Another valuable feature collectors search for is an off-center strike. During minting, if the blank planchet shifts out of position before being struck, part of the design will be missing while the remaining image appears shifted dramatically toward one side. Depending on how much of the design remains visible, these errors can command substantial premiums. A dramatic off-center strike with a fully readable date is especially desirable because it combines visual appeal with historical authenticity. Die cracks and retained cuds also attract significant attention. Over time, minting dies experience tremendous pressure and eventually begin to fracture. These cracks leave raised lines across the coin's surface. When a section of the die actually breaks away, it creates a raised blob of metal called a cud. Large, well-defined cuds on a 1952 wheat penny are much scarcer than ordinary die cracks and can dramatically increase collector demand. Perhaps one of the most visually striking errors is the broad strike. Without the retaining collar properly holding the planchet during the strike, the coin expands beyond its intended diameter. The details often appear bold while the coin itself looks wider and flatter than a normal cent. These unusual pieces immediately catch the attention of experienced collectors because their appearance is impossible to overlook. Collectors also keep a close eye out for clipped planchets. Before striking, blank coin discs are punched from long metal sheets. Occasionally, one punch overlaps another, leaving part of the blank missing before it ever reaches the coin press. The finished coin displays a curved section missing from its edge. Authentic clipped planchets exhibit unique physical characteristics that professional grading experts carefully verify before assigning value. Here's another question that could save you from making an expensive mistake. Have you ever cleaned an old coin because you wanted it to look shiny? Unfortunately, countless rare coins have lost significant value that way. In numismatics, originality is everything. Even a dirty coin can be worth far more than a polished one because collectors value untouched surfaces that preserve the coin's authentic history. Condition is another factor that separates common pennies from extraordinary investments. A heavily circulated 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny may only be worth a modest premium over face value. But a coin preserved in mint state condition tells a completely different story. Coins displaying full original red luster, razor-sharp details, and virtually no wear become incredibly difficult to locate after more than 70 years. Every tiny scratch, fingerprint, or contact mark matters when determining a coin's final grade. Professional grading services evaluate every detail with remarkable precision. The difference between an MS-65 and an MS-67 grade may seem insignificant to the average person, yet the market value can increase dramatically with each higher grade. Population reports consistently show that the finest known examples become exponentially rarer as grades approach the very top of the scale. That scarcity fuels intense competition whenever one appears at auction. Now imagine this scenario. You inherit an old coin album from a grandparent. You casually flip through the pages and notice a bright red 1952 wheat penny with no mint mark. Most people would simply admire it for a few seconds before moving on. An experienced collector immediately reaches for magnification, carefully inspecting every letter, every number, every surface, searching for those tiny clues that separate an ordinary cent from a life-changing discovery. One reason these remarkable coins are often described as ghosts in today's market is because many of the finest examples have already disappeared into advanced private collections. When elite collectors acquire exceptional specimens featuring rare mint errors, they often hold them for decades. As a result, opportunities to purchase similar pieces become increasingly uncommon. Limited supply combined with persistent collector demand creates the perfect environment for prices to continue climbing. Recent years have also brought renewed interest in classic American coinage. Rising precious metal prices, inflation concerns, and growing awareness through online communities have encouraged more collectors to search old collections than ever before. Yet, despite thousands of people looking, truly elite examples remain astonishingly scarce. Every new discovery attracts enormous attention because so few exist. Let's pause for another reality check. Think about the last time you received pennies as change. Did you actually look at the dates? Most people don't. They toss them into a drawer, leave them in the car, or spend them the very next day. That habit has probably caused countless valuable coins to disappear unnoticed. Pocket change has a funny way of hiding history in the smallest possible package. Now let's address the number everyone has been waiting for. Could a 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny really approach an astonishing value of up to $899,000? The answer requires an important distinction. An ordinary circulated example will never reach that level. However, an extraordinarily rare specimen combining an exceptional mint error, remarkable preservation, outstanding eye appeal, and elite professional certification can enter a completely different category. At the highest levels of the numismatic market, collectors are not simply purchasing copper. They are competing for historical uniqueness, extreme rarity, and the prestige of owning one of the finest known examples. Auction houses have repeatedly demonstrated that elite collectors are willing to pay breathtaking prices when a truly extraordinary coin appears. Competitive bidding often transforms estimated values into record-breaking sales because multiple buyers recognize they may not see another comparable specimen for many years. In the rare coin world, opportunity is often more valuable than patience. That is exactly why experts recommend never making assumptions about old coins. Authentication by respected grading services can reveal hidden varieties, overlooked errors, or extraordinary preservation that completely changes a coin's market value. Many remarkable discoveries have occurred only because someone decided to have an ordinary-looking coin professionally examined instead of spending it. The incredible journey of the 1952 no-mint mark wheat penny reminds us that hidden wealth rarely announces itself. It hides in forgotten collections, inherited albums, dusty boxes, estate sales, and sometimes even loose change. Every remarkable discovery begins with someone taking a closer look while everyone else walks right past it. So before you empty that coin jar into a counting machine or hand those old pennies to the cashier, slow down. Examine each wheat penny carefully. What if I told you that a single penny, one that looks almost identical to thousands of others, could be worth more than many luxury homes? Imagine reaching into an old jar of coins, finding a worn 1955 wheat penny, and unknowingly spending it on a cup of coffee when it could have changed your financial future forever. That possibility is exactly why serious coin collectors never ignore old pocket change. Every year, valuable coins disappear into cash registers because people simply don't know what they're holding. While most people see only 1 cent, experienced numismatists see history, rarity, and sometimes life-changing wealth. Today, we're uncovering one of the most fascinating coins ever produced, the 1955 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny. More importantly, we'll reveal the rare characteristics and extraordinary minting errors that can push its value toward an astonishing $876,000. Before you dismiss that old penny sitting in your drawer, stay with me, because the next few minutes could completely change the way you look at every coin you own. The story begins in Philadelphia during 1955. Unlike coins struck in Denver or San Francisco, Philadelphia pennies of this era carried no mint mark. That tiny missing letter beneath the date often confuses new collectors, but for experts, it tells an important part of the coin's history. Millions of pennies were struck that year, yet only a microscopic percentage possessed the exact combination of preservation, striking quality, and minting mistakes capable of reaching extraordinary auction prices. The difference between an ordinary 1-cent coin and an incredible collector's prize often comes down to details invisible to the casual eye. Here's where things become truly fascinating. The most famous variety associated with the 1955 no-mint mark wheat penny is the spectacular double die obverse. This isn't ordinary wear or damage created after the coin entered circulation. It happened during the die-making process before a single coin was struck. When the working die received multiple misaligned impressions from the hub, every coin produced from that die inherited dramatic doubling. On genuine examples, the words, "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date 1955 appear boldly doubled, almost as though two separate images overlap one another. Even without magnification, the doubling is obvious enough to surprise first-time viewers. This dramatic minting error instantly transformed an ordinary production run into one of the most celebrated varieties in American numismatic history. Collectors have pursued these pennies for decades, driving demand to extraordinary levels. The reason is simple. Unlike many minor errors that require expensive microscopes to identify, this double die is immediately visible. That makes it one of the easiest major mint errors for collectors to recognize and one of the most desirable coins ever released into circulation. But don't make the mistake of assuming every 1955 no-mint mark wheat penny is valuable. This is where thousands of hopeful treasure hunters become disappointed. A normal 1955 Philadelphia penny without the famous double die may still have collector value depending on condition, but it is nowhere near the prices commanded by authentic error examples. Authentication is everything. Professional grading services carefully examine every detail because counterfeit versions have become increasingly sophisticated over the years. Now let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked through the pennies sitting in your home? Not next weekend. Not someday. Right now, there could be decades-old coins hiding inside a forgotten coffee can, a dresser drawer, or your grandparents' collection. Most people assume old pennies are worthless simply because they have spent their entire lives seeing them in circulation. Collectors know better. History has repeatedly proven that overlooked pocket change can become remarkable treasures. Beyond the famous double die, specialists also search for exceptional strike quality, brilliant original red surfaces, strong luster, and nearly flawless preservation. Copper is an unforgiving metal. Tiny scratches, fingerprints, oxidation, and improper storage slowly reduce a coin's grade. Because of this, pristine examples become astonishingly rare with every passing decade. Every year, fewer untouched specimens survive, making elite condition coins increasingly desirable among advanced collectors and investors alike. The grading scale plays an enormous role in determining value. A circulated example with moderate wear may attract considerable collector interest if it displays the authentic double die. However, an uncirculated specimen with blazing original mint color, razor-sharp details, and virtually no imperfections enters an entirely different financial category. At the highest certified grades, bidding becomes intensely competitive because wealthy collectors understand they may not see another comparable example available for years. This scarcity creates what many experts call a ghost market. Why? Because the finest examples rarely appear for public sale. They quietly move between elite collectors, prestigious auctions, and long-term investors who have no intention of selling anytime soon. Every time one finally reaches the auction block, excitement spreads throughout the numismatic community. Prices often exceed expectations because serious buyers understand they are competing for an opportunity that may not return anytime soon. Here's another important attention check. If you're watching this with a jar of pennies somewhere in your home, don't wait until tomorrow to inspect it. Hidden wealth doesn't announce itself. It waits patiently for someone who knows exactly what to look for. Ironically, the smallest coin in American circulation has produced some of the biggest surprises in collecting history. One fascinating reason collectors remain obsessed with the 1955 double die penny is that its error is both dramatic and historically significant. During the mid-1950s, quality control procedures weren't nearly as advanced as today's technology. Several thousand error coins entered circulation before the mistake was fully recognized. Many were spent like ordinary pennies, mixed into cash registers, and distributed across the country. Imagine receiving one as change without realizing its future significance. That actually happened countless times. Over the decades, many examples disappeared forever. Some became heavily worn through everyday use. Others were damaged, cleaned improperly, or lost entirely. As surviving high-grade specimens became increasingly scarce, demand steadily climbed. Today, every newly discovered premium example generates excitement among dealers, collectors, and investors worldwide. Now here's something many people overlook. Condition alone isn't enough. Appeal matters tremendously. Two coins carrying identical grades can sell for dramatically different amounts if one possesses richer color, cleaner surfaces, stronger strike characteristics, or superior overall beauty. Experienced bidders often pay substantial premiums for exceptional visual quality because they know elite coins become centerpiece collections for generations. You might be wondering whether stories about nearly million-dollar pennies are exaggerated. Surprisingly, elite auction records continue proving that extraordinary coins can achieve breathtaking prices under the right circumstances. A perfectly authenticated, exceptionally preserved, museum-quality 1955 no-mint mark double-die Lincoln Wheat Penny with outstanding originality and elite certification can attract fierce bidding from the world's most serious collectors. Under extraordinary market conditions, experts have estimated that a truly elite specimen could approach an astonishing value of around $876,000. While only the absolute finest known examples have any chance of reaching that level, the possibility explains why collectors continue searching every single day. Think about the psychology behind that number. Most people would never bend down to pick up a penny lying on the sidewalk. Collectors absolutely would. The difference isn't luck. It's knowledge. Wealth often belongs to people willing to recognize value where everyone else sees nothing. Here's a quick reality check with a little humor. Imagine explaining to your friends that the penny they tossed into a tip jar last week might have been worth more than their brand new sports car. It sounds unbelievable, yet history has shown that extraordinary coins really have surfaced in ordinary places. Coin roll hunters, estate sale buyers, and even families cleaning out inherited collections continue making incredible discoveries. The current market for elite American-era coins remains remarkably strong because collectors increasingly appreciate rarity that cannot be recreated. Unlike modern investments that can be issued indefinitely, the supply of authentic 1955 double-die wheat pennies is permanently limited. Every damaged coin reduces the surviving population. Every long-term collection removes another specimen from the marketplace. Basic economics takes over. Limited supply combined with global demand creates powerful upward pressure on prices over time. This is why authentication should always come before celebration. If you discover a promising example, resist the temptation to clean it. Cleaning almost always destroys collector value. Instead, handle the coin carefully by its edges, store it safely, and have it examined by a respected professional grading service. A genuine expert can distinguish authentic mint errors from machine doubling, post-mint damage, or deceptive counterfeits. As we reach the end of this incredible story, remember the lesson hidden inside the humble 1955 no-mint mark Lincoln Wheat Penny. Extraordinary wealth doesn't always arrive wrapped in gold or hidden inside bank vaults. Sometimes it hides in the smallest coin most people ignore every single day. Knowledge separates the spender from the collector. One spends without looking. The other pauses, examines the details, and sometimes uncovers history worth a fortune. So before you walk away, take a few minutes to search those old jars, forgotten drawers, family collections, and inherited boxes of coins. That overlooked penny could be the beginning of an unforgettable discovery. And if this story surprised you, make sure you stay with us because our next episode uncovers another ultra-rare American coin with an incredible history, fascinating mint errors, and the potential to leave even experienced collectors completely speechless. You won't want to miss it.